Getting another stream started. Somewhat later in the day here for me than usual. Had some unexpected computer problems. But here's the cat. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Finally getting started today. I was hoping to do some glitching-related streaming earlier today, and then I was hoping to do some of this cat camera-related streaming earlier, but I actually ended up spending a lot of today on was just debugging the computer that I usually run my CAD on. It had been having some intermittent trouble booting, and then I just found that it was not on, and then so everything was made kind of more annoying by the really crazy wiring I have here, where I tried to make my setup kind of compact, but I think I need a real equipment rack for my streaming setup here. There's like 5 computers on this side of the shop that run everything from video editing to audio mixing and CAD and running the demos. And I've got like a piece of IKEA furniture that works alright, but I still have stuff stacked around in there such that it's kind of annoying to get individual components out to replace and repair them, so I ended up having to kind of wrestle the computer out of the little cage that I'd built for it, and then debug it piece by piece. And in kind of a bit of desperation, because I just wasn't really sure what was wrong with it, I decided to take the CPU out of the socket and clean it really well and put it back in. And as far as I can tell, that's what fixed it. So we are back online for CAD. And so my plan for this stream is to mostly do a little bit of kind of relaxed CAD for this cat camera project. And there's several parts we can work on there. Let's get a wider angle cat view maybe. So the idea behind this project, if you're just joining this for the first time, is that basically, I'll explain it in more detail later as we go along, and you'll probably start to see how it works, but basically it's a camera that flies around on a system of wires and winches and has a stabilization gimbal and some sensors so that it can operate semi-autonomously with the help of people like you on the internet. And the goal behind it would be to have both a more automated camera for this stream so that I can have better photography on Tuco while I'm still working, but also probably, with that robot and with the rest of the setup here supporting it so well, I'd probably want to have like as close to a 24/7 cat camera stream as I can manage, probably with some interaction on Twitch. So that's the ultimate goal here, and so we're working on building pieces. It's not like this is a thing that you can just go out and buy for a reasonable amount of price, for especially if you want it for sort of a weird space like this. So yeah, it seems like a great opportunity to make something, and it lets me, I think, use a bunch of parts that I have here, plus take advantage of some inexpensive stuff that we can find online designed for other purposes. Plus I've actually been getting a lot of really great equipment donations and just all sorts of offers of support in terms of somebody has been working on kind of already starting the kind of Twitch chat interface, and then I've got another contribution of a logo already, so it's been really great. I think a lot of people like this kitty, so we're trying to build him a robot, make him a cyborg cat. Alright, I think we can put something else in here. Oh yeah, the other thing I ended up doing today besides just fixing the computer was I set up this other Twitter bot. So you might have seen, if you follow me on Twitter, you probably see these little messages like this one, broadcasting live, circuits and per monster. I just have this bot that is connected to my video streaming machine that sets up these announcements. So I know a lot of people have been reporting in the chat that they've been having trouble with the YouTube automatic announcements. So especially if that's the case, and if you want to use Twitter, or if you do use Twitter, then you've got a few options. I've had that bot running for a while such that the streams all get announced right away, plus there's like a, we're still streaming about every 45 minutes, just so that people can, tune in afterwards if they don't notice the original announcement. And so for a while that's been running on my scanlime account, but I know a lot of people probably don't want to follow me on Twitter because my account is full of all sorts of other things that are not related to stream announcements, and if you just want stream announcements, I figured it would be useful to have an account for that, so that's what this is for. And so if you follow me, you'll still see the same messages, but I'll be retweeting this bot automatically. So, oh yeah, so Chris Harris in chat is asking who's working on the Twitch interface. Well, I hope they don't mind me mentioning. Yeah, and actually I'm so terrible with names I don't remember off the top of my head, but let me find it briefly in my DMs and see what I can share without risking, being too invasive with, something that wasn't necessarily intended to be public. Yeah, here's something I think I can share. So yeah, this is their Twitter handle, Skila. I think you might have seen, this is the same person that designed a little YouTube, or not YouTube, like a web database for Tuco photos a while ago, and I retweeted their work. And then so later they contacted me with some examples of this Twitch bot work in progress. So so yeah, I have a lot of feelings about this, and I haven't quite even been sure where to go with this, because this has been really great having somebody really enthusiastically doing a lot of work on this, but I also don't really know how to answer all of the questions about like exactly what the capabilities of this are going to be, because there's just still so much hardware work, just so much, until we can get to the point of actually needing to take commands from Twitch. But that said, like, I'm really excited that this is happening, and I hope we can continue the momentum, and I'm just not really sure personally what to do with that, because I'm still stuck way down in like robot land. So if anyone else has any ideas, that's certainly welcome. And yeah, I think they also registered an account for Tuco Flyer on Twitch, so if you come across that, then that's who to contact about it. So yeah, that's mostly all I know. And yeah, well, you might have seen this here, but this started happening also while I was doing that really brief business trip to Chicago, so I also didn't necessarily have a lot of bandwidth to think about it. But yeah, even after spending a little more time thinking about it, I'm still not really quite sure what to do on account of not really knowing about the bot capabilities yet. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is about that. That's irrelevant. Oh, this is something I wanted to share also. I just thought this was funny. I printed this. So I shared this Twitter thread earlier where, oh, I'm already forgetting. I'm so bad with names. I'm so sorry. But if you, I should find this, because I want to properly give this person credit for inspiring me. I think if I find, we were talking about bolts, I think, and it was before that. Oh, we don't want top tweets. Is that what this is? I don't know. Let me rummage around in my Twitters for a sec and see if I can find the actual bit that I'm looking for. Tuco is such a good critter to have on the screen when I'm doing something excessively boring. If I remembered better exactly which words are in this tweet, I could find it. mouse doesn't have to be that noisy. I just remembered I could turn that off. Oh, maybe if... is there a way to view just videos that you received in your notifications? That would be cool. Oh, Ryan saying hi in chat. Hi. Ryan says, woo, Friday Night CAD, hello. Yeah, I'm excited about CAD too. Sorry, this is coming off to a slow start. I was just trying to... I was excited about something, and then I was sad about not remembering who brought it to my attention, and I wanted to properly credit it. And my memory is just like a sieve when it comes to names, and so... Anyway, I think I retweeted this recently, but there's like Twitter is just such a sea of stuff that I just get lost when I try to follow through on it. Anyway, someone who is escaping me right now, but I recently like retweeted that experience. I printed this bolt on the recommendation, and then yeah, and then via this interaction on Twitter, Adafruit retweeted this, and then this person, Akira737, is actually the person who modeled the bolt, and then they were excited that I liked it. But it has a really good feel. I'm actually pretty into this. Like, yeah, the original recommendation was that it was a really good human toy. You know, this was the plate of cat bolts I was printing last time. Anyway. I could get lost in Twitter. I think we should go do some CAD before that happens. But this is a fun thing. So anyway, the printers right now are both busy printing objects that aren't things that we're designing right now. So we won't really be able to test stuff right away, but I'll stick stuff in the print queue. I'm just printing more of those boxes in the shop. Those things are super helpful, and I just keep wanting more. And then the little printer in the back is actually printing an even bigger version of this, just the biggest I could fit on that printer. So... yeah, and so the model has different lengths. So depending on the size of your print bed, so like for that one, I used the model that was less long, but then printed it at a larger scale. So it's going to be kind of, you know, shorter and stubby, but have a kind of big, gnarly texture. I don't know. I just like these textures, and I especially have friends that like textures and think that some of them might like these. So printing more of them seems like a thing I should do. And that's my like fast, reliable printer. So when I really like an object, I can just like stick it on an SD card, and now I have a machine where I just press a button and then I get another one of those objects in like a day. So. Oh, US Water Rockets is asking what the Eris is printing. I don't know what the Eris is. So I've got two printers. There's the one in the foreground here is a Type A Series 1. It doesn't have the heated bed. I put my own PEI, that's the yellow plastic. So I put that on myself as an upgrade for the bed, but it's pretty much mostly stock still. It's the Type A Series 1 non-pro without the heated bed upgrade, but it's still got a nice extruder and a big build volume, and it's pretty accurate. I just wish it had a heated bed and automatic bed leveling. And then the little one in the back is much less expensive than the Type A. I got it because I needed like a second printer at the time to just crank out a bunch of parts for these larger workshops that I was planning on doing. And so I ended up using that for a bunch of stuff for like some workshops and art projects where I just needed to crank out a bunch of the same parts. And it's really nice because it'll just run off of an SD card. It can reposition the head very fast because it's really lightweight, and it's on a kind of a Delta style robot. So all the motors are at the bottom. The extruder motor is on the side. The 3-axis motors are at the bottom of each of the towers. So the actual print head is just a heater, a thermistor, a fan, two fans actually, but it's really lightweight. So it can move around really fast, and it's also got a heated bed, which is the other big thing. So it's very reliable. It doesn't have the periodic problems with warping or objects flying around on the bed that my Type A has. So, you know, I use the two printers for different things. You probably see me use the Type A more often because that's what I use for stuff that I'm prototyping because it's higher resolution. But the one in the back, it's kind of a good workhorse when I just need a bunch of practical stuff, or I just want to print a big toy without tying up my main printer. Oh, okay, so US Water Rocket says that Eris is the other new small printer that same company. I think they're called CME CNC. So, okay. Yeah, I like the design. Like, I mean, the design kind of harkens back to the MakerBot days. Like, it's all made of like laser cut plywood combined with off-the-shelf parts, but they just did a really good job making it stable. Like the stability comes from these two thick laser cut wood pieces that are parallel. Well, three if you count the one on the very top. So it comes in like three kind of shelves that are all thick laser cut wood. And then these aluminum extrusions go up through those to make a nice rigid structure. And then the actual aluminum extrusions also support the belt drive that moves those carriages up and down. So I like the design. Oh, and yeah, so that one's printing the nut. It's printing the one that's this prints in two pieces. It's not like a print in place design. That would be harder. So it's printing one of these, but imagine it only about that long, and then maybe that big instead of that big, and in red. So it should be another fun fidget toy, which I'll probably give to a friend. Oh yeah, Chris and Harris says that they're going to have to try to print this and to learn how to model knurls. Well, yeah, I think that's originally what this was for. That tweet. I'm already forgetting their name, but the designer of this part designed it as a way to model knurls. So. Oh, and then Ben ST in chat asks if this is ABS or PLA. This is PLA. I don't really use ABS that much anymore. I still have some ABS that'll fit my really old MakerBot, but that printer is currently broken, so everything that you're seeing me print now is not all PLA, but I print mostly in PLA. I also like PET-based filaments. Like I've been using T-glass for these brackets because I wanted something stronger than PET. I've also been liking thermoplastic elastomers like NinjaFlex and SemiFlex. Oh, I've still been meaning to print some bolts for Tuco in NinjaFlex. I don't know if Tuco's going to like the taste of them, but I'm curious how they bounce. So, yeah, we'll see. This doesn't have an amazing sound, but, well, if I don't put the weight of the nut on it. I also printed this with probably higher infill than I really needed. I think I printed this with like 40% infill, whereas I'm printing this one with more like 25%. And that was just because I forgot and didn't change the setting. So, So this is the computer that is now working now that I reseated its CPU and gave it a nice wipe down with alcohol and applied fresh thermal paste. Oh, US Water Rockets has a really good point in chat, and they're saying NinjaFlex bolts will be too quiet. That's probably true. I'm still going to print a small batch of them for science because I think it would be interesting. But yeah, I think there's probably a few reasons why Tuco might not like them as much. I also think that I forget which object I tested, but I don't know if he likes there's something about the thermoplastic elastomer. I don't know if he likes it, but yeah, I don't know. I'm still curious. So as for a CAD, there's a few different directions we could go in. I still kind of want to finish this rear cover. I know it's probably not the most popular part to work on because it seems so superfluous. Like, this is a totally unnecessary part. I could replace it with a piece of Kapton tape, but I kind of want it for aesthetics and for maintainability. Basically, and I think I can simplify the design. I think actually because of the computer crash, I ended up losing the last couple of modifications I did to this. But I don't really care because I don't think I wanted them anyway. I think I'm just going to simplify this part some more. Anyway, this basically was designed to slip onto, oops, not that camera, this camera. So you can kind of see the way this works. It's, if it would ever focus, there we go. So this is a stock kind of, it's a common sort of thing that you can find. This was one that I shopped around for, and it seemed like a pretty well-designed one, but for like not that much money. It's a gimbal that's designed to handle a GoPro on a quadcopter. And so normally this has another bracket that clamps onto the GoPro, which I removed. Thank you for stopping the movie recording for my safety. And yeah, so you can see here I have this 3D printed bracket that connects the gimbal to the camera, then another one that connects the camera to the LiDAR, And so this piece will go, my plan for attaching this is to actually avoid these 2 screw holes, because that's actually a pretty tight fit around the 2 nuts that hold on this bracket, whereas these 2 screw holes are really pretty widely accessible, both in terms of the case design here and the circuit board layout. So I think I want the wire cover to just anchor on this side, and then just basically kind of swoop over here and follow the curve of the back of the camera, keep the wires down so that they don't hit this gimbal, and provide a guide for the wire to come in on this edge. So that basically I can leave enough wire slack in here so that I can take it apart. Otherwise it just wouldn't be possible. But I still have a way of kind of pushing that together when I need to assemble it. So then the other thing that I need to do is block light from getting into the back of the camera, because this is full of light leaks right now. But that's not something I can do with the plastic because, well, I mean, if for consistency I'm using the same plastic, this plastic is quite transparent, so it'd be terrible for light blocking. I also just don't think mechanically the areas that I all need to get into for light blocking will be easy to access with, with the surface of that shroud that I'm putting over it. So I think, honestly, the thing that I want to do for light proofing this is to just, squirt a fairly small amount of very opaque black hot glue into the crack around the circuit board and into these holes here and anywhere else that seems kind of translucent, and use that to light proof the back of the camera, and then intend that to be something that probably stays on more often than the, significantly more than the back cover. So if I want to work on any of this wiring, or I might even design the back cover to cover up this little connector here, because it's probably okay to have to, well, I don't know. I might as well leave that open. I don't want to cover that up if I don't have to. But yeah, I mean, I guess I don't have a lot of reasons why I might want to remove that back cover, but it seems like it should be made easy to remove without having to take the hot glue off. So that's kind of my plan. Oh. So US Water Rockets has a good question in chat. Could I get some male to female standoffs to provide a mount for those 2 screws you're avoiding? Also, paint the back to light proof it. Those are both interesting questions. Oh! Also, a really quick one before I do get to those is Ben STMax is asking, he says, or they're saying another fun one would be glow-in-the-dark PLA bolts for Tuco. I think I tried that. There are some glow-in-the-dark PLA bolts around here. I think he liked them, actually. They were probably pretty similar to the transparent ones, because I don't think they really got a lot of time to charge when they get kind of lost, but yeah, I should print some more of that. I think I still have some more glow-in-the-dark PLA, so that sounds fun. And then, so yeah, to get back to the other questions, so for standoffs, this board originally used standoffs, and I still have those, but part of the reason I'm not using them right now is that they just interfere with these nuts. I thought I could design this bracket and the nut placement to avoid those standoffs, but I just didn't quite leave enough room, and it was more important to have the rest of the bracket designed, the way it was designed for strength reasons than to avoid those standoffs, so I'm just gonna, I think I'm better off without those there. And on this side I don't need the standoffs, so yeah, I think what I want is just to design the whole thing to avoid this area and just act as just like a wire cover that looks good and holds the wires in place. And I think to make this a little easier, like, I guess I'm just wondering whether to go around this coax connector or over it. And I think I can actually go over it. And I'm wondering if maybe, like, I probably still need to leave a cutout for the heatsink, because the heatsink, any kind of curve I make through there, the heatsink is going to kind of cut the corner out of, so I think I might as well just complete that and leave the heatsink open and just assume that improves cooling while we're at it. But I want to reduce the number of other features on this. I want to keep this part simple, both so that I make the whole platform. I think that's the plan. I'm going to see how well we can implement that. These knurls are so satisfying. Let's see if I can get a good close-up of the knurls. Yeah, so this was printed on the Orion Delta at pretty much the same settings you're seeing it on there, so pretty fast. Yeah, I like that a lot. You can see the top finish. There was a bit of mangling on the threads right here at the edge. I think that might have been a place where it was having trouble with the overhang consistently. So it was a little bit gungy right there as you tried to tighten it over that part originally, but I think both screwing it and unscrewing it a bunch by hand, plus kind of poking at it with the sharp edge of a piece of spring steel helped quite a bit. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is a model that I find very satisfying. Anyway, off topic, but fun. Oh yeah, I also decided to change colors partway through because it would just help to have more differently colored boxes so that when I need to keep boxes separate, I can use more different colors and patterns for that. Oh, that wasn't quite the screen I wanted. Let's go. I don't have a hotkey for the one that I customized for CAD, but I do have one that's a little bit better than my usual. Uh-oh, did we just lose stream? Ah, okay, stream resumed, says YouTube, so maybe we didn't completely lose it. Okay, that was totally my fault. I think I must have, using this terrible input device, I must have accidentally stopped the stream, because yeah, OBS definitely said the stream was stopped. Oh man, this thing is awful. I need to find a better option. Basically, I want something that has a pointing device and a very minimal keyboard, preferably something that is wireless. Well, actually wired would be nice because the wireless doesn't work so well around here, so I don't really care about the connection as long as it's reliable, but I just want something small that I can stick on my pole with magnets and keep out of the way when I'm not using it. And so I tried a couple of other small cheap things that I found shopping around, and they were even worse than this one, so I don't know what to do next except for maybe make something custom or look for something not so cheap and try to make a well-informed decision. But I mean, it just doesn't seem like something I should have to pay much for, you know? A keyboard that actually responds to all the keys that you press. They just all seem to have very bad wireless implementations. Anyway, I'm about 3 minutes away from get off my lawn, so I better switch topics here. I'm debating whether to cut this little widgety thing out or not. I think that might actually look alright with the... Because, I mean, I think the step we were at before was I was carefully trimming bits of this to avoid surface melt components on the board. And I'd really like to not have to do that, so I wonder if I can maybe just shift this whole profile out to make it less sensitive to that. Oh, that's interesting. Chris in chat is suggesting a cheap phone or tablet and the OBS remote plugin. Well, yeah, that's the thing, is I'm using OBS Studio, so I was about to say, like, I thought that was only for the older OBS, and I've never used that, and as far as I can tell, I couldn't think of any reason why I'd want to, but, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, the thing that I was thinking about doing was probably... The thing that I would like to do, honestly, is... So I actually have a little tablet that I use for, like, the YouTube chat and stuff. And so I could, like, VNC or something into the streaming machine. Just, like, the thing is, I really prefer it to be input only, because, like, I don't want to put any additional load on that machine's GPU. So what I'd prefer to do, honestly, is to have a hardware keyboard emulator using something like the Face Dancer or Rasp Dancer. And I could even throw that on the network and then communicate with that using a different device. Oh, I guess US Water Rockets is asking for details on the input device I hate. I guess I'll show you. Oops. So, it's this thing. I'm probably too. Oh, there we go. Focus. So, it is not Bluetooth. It uses its own little receiver dongle, which usually hangs out in here. It's probably completely insecure. I think it's also got a microphone in it, which just seems like a terrible idea. This might be the version without the microphone, I forget, but they do stupid things like that. Well, it's got a hole like it's got a microphone, so anyway. All I need is a very minimal keyboard and like a touchpad would be nice. Like I use this for selecting things in OBS that I don't have hotkeyed to another input device. Because this little thing over here, the thing that I made many streams ago, is also connected to that computer, and so I use that to like switch back and forth between these channels. And it's got its own problems, but it's, you know, like I made that bed, I can fix it, I've just been lazy about it. This is somebody else's product that I don't want to have to deal with. US Water Rockets is suggesting, or asking if I've tried an air mouse, in quotes. I think that's kind of just a generic sort of product. Yeah, I got one kind, and it was even worse than this. I don't know what was going on, but I think they all use similarly bad wireless communication stacks. Yeah, the Air Mouse had fewer problems related to the touchpad implementation being bad, because this one just seems like it's just bad at capacitive touch. Just like they just don't have a good sensor in there. But, and the Air Mouse uses a gyroscope as its sensor, and that seems to be a little bit better, but it's still a terrible kind of mouse, in my opinion, and it has similar bad communication issues, so. Oh, that's interesting. So Chris points out in chat that it looks like there's now an OBS WebSocket plugin for OBS Studio. So that's cool. That might mean that I can have, because yeah, if I could either make or write something that can run on, so this other little computer that I have for running the chat is kind of the ideal place to remote control the stream from, and that is running Windows 8 right now. So anything that can run on there, I'd be fine with. So yeah, that might be something to do to decrease the annoyance of day-to-day operations here. Hey Tuco, what do you think about giant bolts? My cat likes these tiny bolts, the quarter 20 bolts. Hey Tuco, what do you think? Do you care? I don't think he cares. Oh, yay! So, Steven in chat, who goes by Bookswap Steve on Twitter, that was the person I was trying to credit earlier. Thank you so much. They're the one who told me about this model, and they told me I wouldn't be able to put it down, so yes, thank you. I appreciate new fidgety things, especially when I can just put them on an SD card and tell my printer to make them for me. So, yes. Very nice. Especially you can just like rub it on yourself. Oh, let's check out this URL for the OBS plugin. This is going to be a little bit, so this comes from Chris Harris in chat. Thank you. Oops, I typed that wrong. Nice. So how, is this just a plugin or? Oh. Oh, this is a whole, oh, and there's a tablet client. That looks useful. Oh, and this is remotely hosted. Huh. So what is this capable of? Scene switching. I mean, I don't know if this will do what I want. Oh, maybe. Yeah, I mean, because what I was thinking is, like, the reason I use the mouse is usually when I'm doing something that I haven't specifically hotkeyed to make fast, because normally I only have to use that to start and stop the stream, which I do infrequently, so I don't really mind. And then other times you see me fuss with that are when I'm like moving things around on the screen, which I don't usually have to do, or when I'm selecting something that I haven't hotkeyed. So basically it's for weird use cases, and so it seems like an add-on like this would be less likely to cover all of the weird use cases that I want, and so maybe I do just want a mouse that works. Because like I don't really need it to be remote. I can see the screen. I just kind of need a mouse that doesn't take up any desk space. Maybe I'll just get another trackball and put magnets on the bottom. Because yeah, I mean, like I see how I could do this. I could spend a bunch of time writing software and make something awesome, or I could just find a mouse. I think I'm going to find a mouse. That's probably going to be my solution this time around. But if I find something else I want to automate, then I totally might do something with that. US Water Rocket suggests maybe a wireless USB trackball. I'm going to say a wired USB trackball. I'm going to say a wired USB trackball with magnets on the bottom. I just need to find one that works well in different orientations, because most trackballs only work well when they're on a desk. Because, I mean, like I was saying about the Air Mouse, the problem isn't always the sensor. The problem has been the wireless. Like, a lot of these like really cheap input devices just have terrible protocols that can't handle interference. And so, you know, if you have a studio full of a bunch of things emitting packets on 2.4 gigahertz and a bunch of things doing weird things in electromagnetic spectrum, then I'd like something with a little bit more robustness. So if I could find something that actually implemented Bluetooth LE, for example, maybe. I just haven't seen. I mean, maybe I haven't been willing to look at a high enough price range, but you know, I guess I haven't seen stuff like this tend to support Bluetooth LE, which might be a solution to some of this, because that at least has an all right, you know, frequency hopping algorithm. Yeah, I don't want anything wireless, so no wireless things. I'm vetoing that, because like unless it's really well designed wireless, I'm gonna just have the same problems here. How big can I afford to make this, I wonder? So these measurements here are the back of the camera, and I only wanted to go lower than that really just for aesthetic reasons, and so this could be a lot higher than it is now. So let's try making both of these gaps only 1.5 millimeters. These don't look tangent. I think I'm missing a constraint. No, I guess that wasn't what I want. Maybe I want smooth, or I want to find the handle. Yeah, I don't think that's what I wanted. I think I want the handle for this one. I don't know how to get that back. There's one of them. Oh! Chris Harris has a great suggestion, the Steam game controller. I actually have one of those on my, like, this CAD machine that I use for, like, Steam games and for remote controlling it. So really my only concern there would be if I can set it up to operate on a separate channel, but I'm assuming they thought of that and I can just have two computers that have their own Steam controller that are separate. So yeah, I think maybe I'll just do that because that thing is really well made. I know I already like that controller. It's not good for keyboard, but I think as long as I have Steam running, I can enter text with it, which is all I need. Oh man, I'm getting a bunch of suggestions in chat, actually. Let's go back to that. Appreciate the help. I didn't intend this to be the content of the stream, but sure. Let's go to the stream. That's not what I wanted, really. No, no audio. Yeah, the Steam controller. I would have to put magnets on the back of the Steam controller or something like that, but I mean, I don't know. If I could make something just like anything I wanted, I would probably want something a little bit lighter weight with the Steam controller and with a real keyboard, but yeah, so slight preference for things that have like actual hardware, but uh-oh. An RS-232 trackball? That's an interesting suggestion, but not really what I want. I like trackballs. Trackballs also tend to only work if their gravity vector is oriented how they expect. Oh, interesting. I could redesign part of the back of the Steam controller. That would be really interesting, having just a pole mount Steam controller. So yeah, I don't know, there are definitely some options here. I mean, it's also tempting to use something like Synergy, but I've been shying away from that in the past because of the bugs that I hit with this particular setup, just making it super annoying. Oh, yeah, this is the one that I meant to check out, thank you. Let's get another tab. Oh, thank you. Put that in the Google bot. Oh. See, when you said it was like a ring, I was imagining this like tiny thing that's like okay, I've got this little trackball. This makes much more sense. Oh, and it's USB. Oh. That might be kind of nice, actually. Yeah, so this plus... Because, like, I need the keyboard for so little that this plus an on-screen keyboard, or maybe like a little paste pad that has a couple of common things that I need to paste often, might be kind of nice. Or even this plus a similarly tiny keyboard that I can keep out of the way. Yeah. Well, thanks for the suggestion. I'll keep this handy, and that might be worth a try. Because, yeah, I could use something that is less likely to inadvertently stop the stream, like you have just witnessed. Alright, back to different kinds of constraints, I think. I think one thing that's weird is I don't know how to get the endpoint for this curve to show back up, because I'm in the sketch for it still. Is this maybe not the original, but the mirror copy? I don't think that does what I want it to do. Oh, nice. U.S. Water Rocket says that, well, since I helped them choose the space mouse last night, we're even. Nice. Although I think this is going to be cheaper than the space mouse, so maybe I came out ahead. So I defined these as splines of some sort. Like, I still don't really quite get how the curves work in this program. Oh, and I'm still not really in my optimized layout here. Let's see if I can switch layouts without actually killing the stream. Maybe I just need to swap my hotkeys around. There are some that I haven't been using recently, and I could sacrifice one of them for CAD, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, you can see what happened. Like, I changed this curve updated for the new constraints. These curves, they still fit, but it isn't smooth here, and I want to get rid of that discontinuity. And I should be able to get some control points back for this end of the curve. Can I use any of this? Oh no, my axes just went all wobbly again. At least I know that clicking the home button fixes that. Yeah, I guess there's sort of two issues I'm having. One is that I don't quite know what constraint to use for this, but then the other issue is I kind of expected this curve to still have control points visible, and I don't know how to get those back. This is the curve, and so like also one of these is real and one of these is a mirrored copy. Maybe I just remake this. I also might have messed up something with the constraints when I made the mirrored copy or something, because I still don't really understand how these work. Was that a spline? How do I get that on there? Ah. Oh, okay, I don't want the control point. I want this little tangent line that they draw between the control points. That's clever, but confusing. Vertical. Okay. Guess that piece wasn't actually vertical constrained on the other side, probably. Okay, so that's entirely just built up with constraints. I didn't have to enter anything. That's the curve that I want. Let's try just making another one of these on this side. I don't know why these control handles disappeared on my other previous spline. There we go. Ooh, nice. That's getting closer. That leaves a lot more room. So then, I think I also just want to cut a lot of these so that they, like, this whole thing shouldn't come so close to the circuit board. I don't want to be like dodging individual capacitors. I just want to overall leave more clearance here. Oh, US Water Rockets was saying that you have to edit this sketch to see the control points. Oh, I thought I was in sketch edit mode. Maybe that's why I was confused. I'm just gonna see how, like, the collective stuff that I just want to dodge is basically, I mean, on the edge at least. I don't care about the stuff in the middle because this whole thing arches up. But at the edge, I have stuff like tantalum capacitors, screw heads, more tantalum capacitors. That's pretty much it though. So I'm just going to measure the height of this little tantalum because I think that's the highest thing that I'm dodging, and then cut that much off of everything except right around the screws. And I think that's how I'm going to solve my capacitor dodging issue without going completely tired of cutting every single capacitor its own little unique hole. That is super hard to measure. Do I have something else I can measure it with? Well, I think would 2.5 millimeters be too much? I don't know. 2.5 millimeters? I'm gonna go with that. Oh no, there's a spammer. Let me see if I can get rid of that. All right, yeah, we don't need. Not only was a bot, it was like a bot that was claiming to be Jesus, which isn't really something that like seems like the actual Jesus would do. It's just show up in bot form and then be incomprehensible and mean. That would just be weird. I mean, you know, but most religious things are pretty weird. Oh, I'm just invading Tuco's face with this camera, don't mind me. Oh, such a cat. Can I get any more wide angle? No. Okay. Do I already have the right bits and pieces for this? Oh, I think that's basically the outline I want already. That's convenient. Ooh, 2.5 millimeters is huge. Definitely want to do this before the shell operation. But then, actually, that might be fine. Alright, let's go before the shell then. Oh, we need longer screws. That's what that means. That's fine. That's easy to do. This construction plane is the feature we need to change. This is where we figured out where the base of the screw head would have to sit. So that will just need to go up. Is that the right feature? Oh, I'm still in the sketch. Okay, so that was 2¼ millimeter off the base. Part of this was based on I wanted to keep the screw head size consistent, so I was looking at my inventory of screws. I'll be right back with that. It is still a little messy over here after disassembling my CAD computer. I still have not put it back in my makeshift rack. The side panel is off, holding up the amplifier. I figured while I had the kind of makeshift equipment rack disassembled, I would also upgrade its network switch from 8-port to 16-port, since I'm finally starting to fill that up. Well, and it had been full for a while, and I decided that I really needed to get the laptop that's doing the audio recording off of Wi-Fi, because that was just no good when I was trying to actually archive the recordings afterwards. It was not reliable. I don't know if Wi-Fi works for other people, but I've had just like very inconsistent experience with Wi-Fi for pretty much the entire time I've used it, and I don't know whether it's just from living in like near a big city / in a big city or what. M2x6. I think M2x6 is what I was planning on using. Do I have something longer with a similar sized head? Maybe there's a different solution to this problem that doesn't require me to use a longer screw. Let me check that first. I mean, I could leave some material there. Yeah, let's try using a different curve for this. Oh yeah, Ben Brown is saying that their Wi-Fi was pretty terrible until recently when they moved to a different Ubiquiti Unify access point. Yeah, I had one of those actually, and it was pretty good, and then the hardware just died, and I'd been meaning to take it apart and figure out what broke. But I'd been kind of reluctant to just buy another one of those after that experience. So I got some random thing from, I think, D-Link that had good reviews and had power over Ethernet and wasn't too expensive, and been using that, and you know, the Ubiquiti one was alright, but it wasn't just like magically my Wi-Fi is now actually okay. It was still not so great. Yeah, let's try keeping the M2 by, what were we at, 6 screws, but changing this geometry a little bit so that we don't run out of plastic right where we need it. Oh yeah, labeling these sketches would be nice. Let's keep doing that, because then we won't just create endless dependency loops. That'll keep bumping back to the point in the timeline where the sketch was introduced so that you keep using that as an anchor for your dependencies. So this is call that screw seating plane. PCB plane is what I actually want to edit here. Let's offset a few of these to give myself another area. How much space is there? Actually, kind of small. These tantalum capacitors. That's what I'm trying not to run into. .2 should be fine. Let's try that. 1.2 millimeter offsets for each of these. I only need 2, but I guess those are the only 2 I need. Alright. So cutouts for the screws to sit in something. Then removing excess material. So that's the one I need to change. There. So we've got a little material there. How thick was I making my shell? Because that probably... Like, it doesn't really need to be any thicker than that. Yeah, 1.4. I don't know, man. That's pretty thin. I'm going to increase the other one. Alright, so I should now adjust this. This geometry is super weird. I think this is using the wrong face. Yeah, so we want that to be cut. And... Oh man. Can I add more with shift? I guess that's the problem, is having trouble cutting out that face. Inside. Maybe I'll just have to extrude those off separately. Okay, so these are little legs that hold it on to the circuit board. That's fine. So what was that? Screw holes, heatsink. Oh, that was the sketch I was working on for all that bolt dodging and coax wrangling geometry that I don't actually want. Let's delete that too. So then... this will come up and basically avoid the area on the circuit board right around the bolt, but still allow access to the bolt head, so that's probably fine. really this whole area. Try cutting off that much. So that's access for the connector where we can plug in to operate the on-screen menus if we want on the camera. There's heatsink, mounting holes, screw access. So as for wire wrangling, I'll want to have a little divot out of this side so that the wires coming in from the next bracket have a place to sit, and then likewise the wires going out this side, I'll want to have something here that lines up with the kind of exit of the LiDAR wiring. Which is actually kind of off center, but I don't actually want that to be a direct lineup either because the LiDAR has a little bit of freedom to tilt up and down. So I think for that, I just want it to be kind of a somewhat tall and, well, maybe not tall, but just like a centralized kind of semicircle here. So yeah, for that, I think I'll need some more sketches. This will be wiring on the LiDAR side. So we're only going to get like half the hole, but I mean, actually, this is going to need to come up somewhat high since this, I mean, like this edge right here of the case is actually going to be right up against metal. So the wire will actually want to exit somewhat up here. So maybe I should be doing both of these from the top sketch plane. Just something simple like that for starters, maybe. Going to affect all the other geometry? Maybe not. Cool. That's not what I want. It looked right, but actually... yeah. Something kind of like that. I hope this isn't too flimsy. Well, I'm starting to get curious what this looks like in terms of printability. Since, oh yeah, so I was also worried about having to add a little cutout for So there's a screw that holds the LiDAR on, which would be right around here, but we've already taken care of that with this wire cutout. So that's fine. Anchor's there. Looks like it would fit on the circuit board. Maybe I want to add some support bracing inside to make this less flimsy. Because there is room in here, just, not everywhere. Oh, we could actually make some pretty wide fillets on some of these internal joints to take away stress and make that just have more material. Oh, that's weird. Let's do that to both sides at least. All four sides? Can we get away with that? Where's that handle? Here it is. Alright, 1 millimeter it is. Maybe let's do these separately. Yeah, that one doesn't want to go above 1 millimeter because of this edge. Alright. Does this one have a similar problem? Oh, that one has that edge. Oh, what did I set that to? Let's set that to 1. Yeah. Okay, I think let's not use so many separate fillets now that I think I know I can just probably only get away with 1 for all of these. Huh. Sometimes there's no solution for a while, and then there's a solution again. Huh. That would probably be really strong, actually, to have a nice smooth curve along that middle. How much space do I have there? There's a lot of space on that side, too. Let's do it. Cool. Random solution space found. And space here, maybe? That's pretty tight. I'm not going to want to put anything else in there. And I mean, I should clear the wires and stuff because that is still taken care of by this clearance that I added, but I don't want to make it any worse than that already is. Maybe these? Ew. I don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know about filleting any of these, but I'm curious. Because like filleting the interior edges adds strength. Filleting the exterior edges could make it feel less sharp. Could also just be tacky. Probably don't want that much. Yeah, something more like that. I do want to make this edge such that the wire isn't going to rub against it. Yeah, that curve is just no doing. That's fine. I wonder, does this have an easy tool for doing support ribs? Oh yeah, web. I think this is what I want. Because unless I add something, this is not going to have the stiffness that I think it needs. So I want to add a little something to add thickness to the top part of this without making all of it thicker. Oh, can I do anything about this edge? This looks like it might be a problem. That's better. And then as far as how much space I have for reinforcements, except for the heatsink, most of the circuitry is about the same height as, I mean, the big exception is over by the coax connector, which I think I'm managing to avoid. But I think that means that basically I should aim to have this, so like this area is roughly where the coax is going to hang, like pretty much in the middle, a little bit toward this side. Then this is heatsink. This is going to be kind of a relatively inaccessible area and not really useful for support all by itself. But then all this could be support. And there doesn't need to be that much room for wires there, since I can stuff the wires into the other areas that aren't being used for plastic support. Do you want to keep some of this area free for the support nut? But I think roughly if I, kind of extend this over and make like a square here that is thicker, then that'll help support it more and won't really eat into the other space that I need. Can I have a bar going up through here? That would get in the way of the coax majorly. Yeah, anything over here we already have support, and over here it would get in the way of the coax. So I think that's just all we got. So I could just model a giant box. I think that would be kind of overkill. I don't know. All right, that needs to be not going to be looking at the sketch upside down. There's the heatsink, this is the mount, the LiDAR mount side, this is the gimbal mount side. So roughly, I think I just want to do something like that, and dimension this line. And the compromise here is really just how much space to leave for both wiring and the coax tail. So I'm going to leave maybe just round that to 14 millimeters. All right, so then I'm suddenly wishing I had this thickness on that sketch, but that comes from much later in the process. Yeah, I don't think I actually wanted that on that sketch. I think I actually want that on a different sketch. Maybe I'll just project it. That's the area for the reinforcement. And I think just to make this edge a little less abrupt, I'll do it that way. Make that a construction line. No, not that. That one. To object. So something like that, and then remove a little bit of material from to make it smooth. Let's chamfer. Partly just to make it look nicer and partly to keep the wires from rubbing against something sharp. I'd like to make this edge less sharp too, but I was having trouble with that earlier. Maybe I need these too? No, I think that geometry is just not good for that right now. It's very pointy. Oh, I've been a little behind on chat, but yeah, Texas Florida in chat is asking, will this item be made on a 3D printer? Yeah, it will. Definitely with support material, probably printing along this orientation so that it's strong in this axis, but with, you know, some kind of sparse support this way. I mean, I know it would be more efficient if I could make one side mostly flat, but I don't think that's really easy for this particular piece. And it's small enough that printing it with support won't take very long. But yeah, that's about where I was headed next. I'm going to see how it looks in the layer by layer view in Kira and see what that looks like. Because I think this has the features I want. And won't be able to test it until the printer is free, but we can have this ready to print when that is ready. Oh, I've got to get my layout back. Bodies. So this would be camera wire cover.stl, camera wire cover 1. Alright, so for consistency with the other parts, I'm also making this out of Tallman T-glass. Same settings here, I think medium strength, brim. As for rotation, 89? Let's move this to a random part of the print bed. Yeah, even with all this support, is it not giving me support? I'm saying print support. What is going on there? I think my part is not sitting on the ground, yeah. I don't know if lay flat is gonna work, but let's try that. Oh, it does. Thank you. Why don't I have more support structure here? Oh wow, does it not need that much support? No. What is going on here? That's gotta be a slicer bug or a bad STL file. Or bad settings. Yeah, this might just be the support density in this profile is bad. You just like get this to reload the material profile. Support. density. Just out of curiosity, I want to know what happens if I lay this at a different angle and get different support material. Like, what if I do that? This might be a viable way to print it too. Well, that's printing a lot more support, at least. Maybe the slicer was just confused about supporting this curved surface. This might be easier to clean up, though. The support will remove off of these pretty nice flat surfaces. So actually, maybe this will be fine. The angle's a little weird. It will maybe have some tendency to want to come up off the print bed, but I think the brim will help that. Yeah. This will rely pretty much entirely on layer adhesion for strength, but I think that'll be fine because this is not exactly a super load-bearing part, and the T-glass is pretty strong and pretty good at layer adhesion. Okay, well, let's save some G-code for this, for when the printer is ready. Oh, actually, so US Water Rockets is saying the support looks wrong, and then Chris is also saying you might be able to print without support in this orientation. Well, parts of this might print without support. The top of that heatsink hole, though, and like that right there, that definitely needs support. And yeah, this does not look like the full support G-code. This just looks like a perimeter. It should be giving me little back and forths. Does this act differently if I use the default material profile? Oh, it's still loading. Oh, okay, so that's like the placeholder geometry for the support material, I guess. Maybe that was empty placeholder geometry, like it was there, but not enough support material was there. How do I even edit these material profiles? Yes, I don't think these visualized perimeters are actually things that it's printing. I think that's something that it does as part of the fast loading, but then it should be filling in with actual supports, and I don't see any of those. So yeah, that is definitely a problem. Don't see any support settings here. Well, and these seem fill out. Is that what we're looking for? Because that seems huge. Let's see what that number was set to for the default PLA profile. Oh, I have to go back to simple mode to load the new profile. Oh yeah, I think that was just like off by a power of 10, like somebody misplaced a decimal point in that profile. So let's try just changing it by a power of 10 and see if that gives us more reasonable support. Oh hey Tuco, you're rubbing against my leg. .5 maybe. I have to do something to get that to update. Oh, maybe not. Cool. Okay, let's try the other angle orientation then, because it'll be easier to support it reliably if there's, you know, less support and it doesn't have to be so tall. Let's see what that looks like. The brim's looking better at least. Oh, that's better. Yeah, that's what I was hoping to get. Well, thanks for pointing that out. That would have been annoying, because, yeah, I'm used to seeing the little perimeters when it just hasn't loaded the rest of the operation, and it's like, oh yeah, it'll get there, but it wasn't getting there, and I hadn't noticed that part. So, yeah. That is much better. So we've got this nice little bar to stabilize this horizontally. Then it'll come up and make kind of a nice uniform cover, and there'll be plenty of room for wiring in all of this area that's full of support right now. Oh yeah, and the infill is pretty sparse too, but I think that's fine. Right here it says the infill is set to 5mm, which sounds right. This is just a really little model. Like, these are M2 screws. This thing is little. And that might be too much support material, but that looks like what I'm used to, actually. I mean, it's just like little wafers that kind of break through really easily. That seems like there's enough material. Cool. I'm going to save some G-code. Oh, US Water Rockets says that they feel like Tuco now. Is that for catching a bolt? That's great. Alright, save some G-code. Let's go ahead and upload this to the printer so that's ready when the print finishes. Alright, so that'll be ready to print. Cool, and then I should be able to satisfy my perfectionism urges about this gimbal contraption. So, what's next? I mean, there's, I was saying this before, but there's a bunch of different CAD directions I could go in. I haven't really done much CAD at all for the robot proper, partly because I don't really entirely know what's going on there. There's some experiments to be done before I know that for sure. We could do some of those experiments. That might be fun. But as far as CAD, I think it might be easier to go back to making like pulleys and winch parts and stuff like that for the actual winch robots. Oh, where's this thing that we just uploaded? What was this called? Camera wire cover. Yeah, the sorting by date on my Octoprint is definitely broken. Or is it? Let's... Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Camera wire cover, uploaded 17 years ago. I think I just don't have NTP working on that machine. Oh man, I should start getting a commission for the space mice. I guess I've inspired a few people to try them. Yeah, that definitely makes CAD a lot more fun. Alright, well this printer has a ways left to go on this print, so I don't think we're going to get to watch any of our new models do this yet tonight. But maybe we can do some work on... So, we got those new encoders, and it might be nice to design the pulley that goes on the encoder and the mount that attaches to. So, I think I wanted this one. Oh yeah, so we were talking about the space mice before a bit, and so I've got the really big one with the extra buttons, and it's wired, not wireless. I'm kind of glad it's wired based on how little luck I've had with wireless stuff in general in this shop. But yeah, if I were buying one of these again, I don't think I would get the fancy one for two reasons. I don't use all the buttons. I think I would in theory, but I just haven't been able to train myself to use the, like for example, the keyboard modifiers on here instead of on the keyboard. They're closer, but I'm not as used to them, so it hasn't really been a thing yet. The other thing is it's got this like soft touch rubber case, which seems to have hit the point in its lifetime where it has started to go all kind of sticky, and so every once in a while I have to kind of clean this, and it's a little gross. But you know, it's still usable. It's just aesthetically, I think the value add isn't quite where they were hoping it would be. So yeah, these are the encoders I got. We opened these up last time, and I already made a CAD model based on the scrawlings that I found attached to somebody's eBay auction. So I should verify that, see if that CAD actually looks good, and then see about designing a pulley that can attach to this. Maybe even testing it too. Oh, Emily has a question about the space mouse. They're asking, does the large space mouse have stiff tension on the puck? On the tiny one, this makes it a bit annoying. Well, stiff compared to what? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Maybe I can show you. Beer. Yeah. Man, I'm wishing I had more IPA. I'm down to only the beer that I don't like quite as much. Because I'm lazy and don't go shopping as much as I should. Anyway, so the space mouse, I don't know, it's pretty light. Like, it doesn't have much tension. It is very sensitive, but I just like that. You get used to it, and it helps you both move slowly and also kind of zoom around by. So like, let me actually open the app, and maybe I can show you how fast it moves as I have the mouse in view. So I don't know, I find it a lot like piloting a remote control helicopter or something like that. So like this movement actually requires a decent amount of force because I'm displacing it horizontally kind of far from baseline, but just like that rotation and barely touching it. Oh, nice. Texas Florida in chat says that I inspired them to get back into making and that they ordered a bunch of stuff via Amazon and built a new workbench. Oh, that's really cool. I'm always really happy to hear when I can push someone toward trying something that they'd been wanting to try. Mark is saying what they're hearing is that I need an Amazon affiliate account. Yeah, maybe. Alright, well this model is fun, but I think we need to move on. So, this is the shaft encoder. Let's verify this. I think I also made the wiring. So, I didn't know how big to make this. It looks way bigger than the actual wiring grommet on the shaft encoder. All this stuff might be accurate, though. Where the cat's hanging out. Oh, he's on the stairs over there. So beautiful. So glad you don't need the camera wire. Do you like? Oh, cat. Ah, the object of our attention and our shaft encoders. Oh, nice. Peter in chat says that with the affiliate account, I can then list off the strange stuff that people are buying. It's anonymous, but still sometimes hilarious when some podcasters do that. Yeah, that sounds fun. Brr, it's starting to get to coldness o'clock. Do I have a sketch that already has dimensions I can just check? Like that, maybe? Let's put this back on the more usable screen layout. Pronter is still prompting away. Tuco. Oh, now the cat's rubbing my leg. Oh, yeah, so this is our thing. 6mm shaft, which seems pretty standard. 38.5mm diameter. This is a little smaller than that, but that's fine. This is like 37.8mm, but you know, I'll make the whole, like, I don't want to hold this really snugly. I want to be holding it by the screw holes, so that's fine. I mean, this model is not going to be amazingly accurate to this particular one, but if it acts for mounting and basically as a keep-out zone, then that's pretty much all I need. And I think another critical dimension would be, I don't know which of these two sets of screw holes I'm using. It has two sets. They're both M3. They're at slightly different diameters. One's at 28, or no. One's at 28, one's at 30mm. I think they're just two different standards it's trying to comply with. Yeah, this is not easy to measure because I don't have a diameter. I can almost see circular tool marks on this such that I can actually measure it, though. That is definitely 28mm. Yeah, this seems to match the diagram. Oh, Mark has a good question about the boxes. The ones that I'm printing in green and white, are those mine or are they from Thingiverse? Those are from Thingiverse. Let me pull up the page and give proper credit from those. I think you can find them if you search for stack boxes. Yeah, I mean, I could clearly design my own, but this has been great, and like, I might design a lid for them. But I just use these a lot in the shop because they're easy to print a bunch of. That's not it. That's somebody else's model. This is the actual thing. Yeah, by UN4114. So yeah, and there's some variants too. I've mostly just been printing the basic one, but there's some with dividers. Built-in little tool inserts. I should mash up these and the battery trays that I like. Oh, so US Water Rockets has a good question in chat. They're asking if I have flex couplings for those encoders, because otherwise the bearings will die in no time. Well, I guess I'm curious what your assumption is that I'm connecting this to, because like I can see how that would be the case if I was connecting this directly to a motor with its own bearings, but my plan was to put a pulley on this and to just use the bearing in the encoder to hold the load of that pulley. And so, like, I think that this bearing is probably heavy duty enough that that'll work, and I won't be like torquing or like wobbling the shaft back and forth every time it rotates. I mean, the other thing I could see doing with this is designing the pulley so that, let me get this in frame. So yeah, so I'd been basically assuming that I would have a 3D printed plate that attaches, at these holes, or I say plate because that's structurally the part of it that matters, but it could be whatever shape. And then yeah, that would attach to the load cell, and then this would have the pulley on it. And so I guess I could see two ways of doing that. Either the pulley just sits on the shaft, and the shaft with this bearing maintains the entire load of that pulley, which, given that we're only talking about like 5 kilograms, it's probably fine. But the other way I can think of doing it is to have this support one end of the pulley, then the other end of the pulley has a second bearing internal to it, and then there's basically a plastic cage that fits around this thing. Conceptually, it's probably going to end up being, well, it can't be part of the other thing because it has to, I was going to say it could be part of the other half of the enclosure, but this does have to, all of it have to move freely. So there would have to be another piece of plastic that goes on there to hold the shaft in the other bearing. And then that whole cage could have some compliance in it so that we wouldn't necessarily mess up this bearing. But yeah, I think so far holding the weight on this bearing might work, but that's certainly one of the things I want to try with this experiment. So, in fact, I don't quite know how feasible this is, but it might be nice to try to design this pulley so that the load, well, so that it keeps the, well, I'm glossing over another detail where I'm also thinking about how I want this to maintain good contact as it rotates. And so I was originally thinking that it would have like a little pressure roller, like with a separate spring. So there's a pulley on here, there's a little roller with its own spring that just pushes the cord against it to maintain good contact. But then someone in chat last time, I think it might have been Dawn? I might be getting the name wrong, because as always, standard disclaimer, I'm terrible with names, and I apologize. But somebody had a great suggestion to wrap the cord once around the pulley. And so now I'm thinking about maybe a hybrid of that where, because if I wrap it around a pulley that only has a single track, then I end up with one point where it's kind of, are you chewing on my focus pull lever? That's fine, Tuco. So if it's wrapping around a pulley that has one track, I'm going to have one point where the rope is just rubbing against itself, which is not helpful. But I think if I have a pulley with like basically a short screw thread, so like a little helical track, so then the thread enters, or the cord enters in one plane and then exits in another plane after rolling around. So US Water Rocket says, make the whole thing into an idler pulley. I'm not quite sure what that means. Oh, you mean like the whole shaft encoder? Oh, that would be funny. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking then, so if I have this pulley that is, kind of worm thread shaped, that would then fit potentially over the front of the shaft encoder, such that the place where the cord is actually coming out and pulling on it is now in line with the ball bearing, and I'm no longer exerting a torque on the shaft. So that might be nice. That just makes it really hard to mount to these screws. Oh, Piotr in chat says that I think that screw structure I was talking about is what they do use for steel wire pulleys. Huh. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding the context here. Put it on an arm that puts pressure on the cord. Oh, for the force measurement? Oh, yeah. Well, I guess it's just a question of whether I want all of the force going through this arm, or whether I want to basically divide the force and measure only part of it. Yeah, US Water Rockets is saying to put a spring on the arm that puts pressure on the cord. That's sounding a lot like my original idea, but maybe I'm failing to understand what you're saying. Yeah, we might have to take a chat break in a second because both US Water Rockets and Piotr are describing other ideas that might be better than what I had in mind. Well, maybe while we're thinking about that, I'm actually curious to test these electrically, because I've never tested these particular types of encoders, so I might just see what this looks like on the multimeter. Let's get a more suitable camera angle for this. Oh, US Water Rockets needs Tuco CAD. Yeah, I should make some of those. I mean, I don't know, I thought the Dave CAD joke was funny, but we certainly don't need to put his name on it. Hey Tuco, you chewing on stuff? You need the camera. It's just right here, I just have to turn it. Tuco's testing the plating on those wires. Hey Tuco. Oh, you're also testing my motor there. You know, Tuco, that is for you, so however you want to enjoy it, I'm fine with. That was not a very good prototype anyway, but that was one of the older Tuco bolt thrower flywheels. Hey, fluffy boy. I wonder if the case here is grounded. It's connected to the braid. I think red is actually power because I got a momentary connection to ground. Does that mean one of these is ground and I just missed it? Oh, interesting. Maybe that was just a capacitor between earth ground and signal ground. Okay, so this is only connected to case ground. That's kind of nice that they kept them separate. And then I just don't know what these wires are. You know, this would be a great opportunity to try one of those apps that translates what you point your phone at. Maybe I can try to do that. My phone is also almost out of battery. Alright, got some power from the phone. Oh, okay, we've got some incoming from Piotr. Let me see if I can get this up on the screen. Interesting. So this is the diagram Piotr sends along. So this is for winches attached inside the drive pulley. So yeah, we've got the cord rolling around once and then going into this brass catch that keeps it from moving, or that allows it to be pulled, and then it's rolling around a bunch more times and then coming out. Which looks like a nice drive pulley. Yeah, I mean, I guess the problem is I don't think I can get away with having a single pulley in the system. I need a take-up reel, basically, because I'm not using a counterweight. Like, I could change the system entirely and just use a single pulley in the winch bot, and then you have two pulleys on the ceiling, and then a counterweight. Yeah, I just thought it would be simpler if I could design this to work without counterweights, and I think the bot is small enough that I can do that. But let's see, is my phone charging? Yes. Does Google have an image translate now? Don't see him. Oh, is this Google Photo Translate? Oh, okay, I think we can do this. Let me get the phone up on the screen so that you all can see. Sure. Do I have the language set wrong for this? This doesn't look like it's trying... Oh, I do have the language set wrong. This is not Korean. I did not notice that the language selection chain came before getting the image. Chinese to English. That's what I wanted. Oh. Sure. Oh. What was that? Oh man, this is trippy. Well, we got shield. That's nice. Is shield the only ground? No, that must be G as in earth ground, so 0V must be signal ground, whatever that is. Red and green. Which part? That's not helpful. That doesn't tell me which part goes where. I didn't find the one next to OV this time. Anyway, this is probably not super likely. Yeah, oh, was it saying my hand translates to therapy? I kept seeing that. I wasn't really sure where it came from. It keeps trying to translate part of the barcode and the keyboard. Oh, there's some rivers in the barcode, some ondas in my calipers. Oh, that time it detected all of them. Okay, what is the one next to OV? I just want to know where ground is. I can find most of the others myself if I want, but it'd be nice to know which one they intended ground to be. Black. Great, thank you. So black is ground. Shield is case ground. Is red VCC? Yeah, nice. And then green and white are data. Great, so it's like USB. Okay, that helped actually. Thanks, Translate Bot. Oh, and we have the cat again. Yeah. So I guess I don't know whether this is going to be open collector or kind of logic style outputs. I assume it's going to be open collector, like it wants to pull the output down to ground. Let me get some little breadboards. Oh, US Water Rockets in chat says that was pretty Babelfish. Yeah, that was probably the first. I guess that was the first time I used that. Last time I went traveling internationally where that would have been really useful, I didn't have a working phone with me, and well, I guess there were a couple times. One time I didn't have a working phone because my phone like actually let the smoke out at the airport due to a bad charger, and then another time I had a phone but just couldn't get a data plan working the entire time I was there. Tuco, what do you want, little guy? I guess I'll use one of these tiny breadboards. Morale. Oh, Tuco really wants to go outside. Tuco, it's too late. It's midnight. Tuco, you're not going to claw your way through that door, honey. He wants to go outside and hang out with people and have adventures, but I'm going to go over there and open it, and then he's going to realize everyone else is asleep, and then he's just going to come right back in. So we could have that experience, but it's so common. So I'm going to at first just wire this up, assuming it's open collector, and just hook some LEDs up to it for fun. We'll bring up the scope soon, but right now I just want to see this visually, and I don't really want to bring out any equipment unless we need to. Ooh, could we use a bicolor LED? I think I want two separate ones. I have all these really old LEDs. Let's try the. Ooh, it's not that part up here. Hey, Tuco. Hey, Tuke, what do you want? Just use these white LEDs I have in abundance. They have long legs. And some resistors. Hey, Tuca. Hey, Tuca, you don't need to say all the time. Alright, so 1K resistors. Hey Tuco, I hear you. I'm looking for an alligator clip. Well, not an alligator clip, something better than an alligator clip. You don't care, do you? Hey Tuco. Hey Tuco. Time. It's more like midnight than dinner time. Okay, 5 volts. Tuco, I so hear you right now. Milliamps at 5 volts. And let's measure the voltage of those outputs. Hey, little cat. .1 looks floaty. That looks like open collector. Let's make sure we know what polarity these LEDs are and then hook a couple of those up so we can watch them twiddle. Not that way. That way. That is weird. These... oh no it isn't. I just got it mixed up. Great. These, like most LEDs, have the kind of anvil-shaped piece as the cathode. So I'm just going to set these two kind of next to each other and use the same resistors since... or no, I'll use separate resistors because I don't want the brightness change to be distracting. I still don't quite know what hardware I'll have, you know, in its entirety, but like I'm pretty sure this at least will be connecting to a little FPGA board on the Raspberry Pi, the ICO board, which I should have one of those around here somewhere. Plus I also have another one coming from Pewter. I need to look for the other one too. I think that's what we want. It's nice and sensitive. These are 300 counts per inch. Or counts per rotation, rather. cool. So the outputs on this work by shorting to ground, and it already includes all the right current limiting so that you give it 5 volts. Cute little thing. Great. Oh yeah, so Octane in chat posts the pinout that green is the A phase, white is the B phase, red is VCC, black is 0, and also don't connect the outputs to VCC. That would also be consistent with this having an open collector driver, because it would just be pulling the VCC right down through the only transistor it's got, which is going to be pretty large area. So yeah, okay. Well, that's a fun little doodad that will hopefully accomplish what we need. So mechanically, I was thinking, it'd be really nice to have the cord exit basically right at this level, but then, that will make it difficult to support this. So maybe we should take a look at that in CAD and see if we can solve that problem. You're such a cat, Tuco. Don't eat the lens. Don't. Oh, you didn't knock the resistors off. Great. How nice of you. How's our print? Still do. Oh, it's tempting to change the colors again, but. Or even to go back to green so there's just a white stripe in the box. Oh, maybe I'll do that. Let me switch that to be green. Noisy in there. It's kind of fun to chase the print head with new filament. Alright. And the real rotary encoder is going to be so much more satisfying than the one in CAD because this one actually does something. But the one in CAD will lead to some delicious 3D printed parts that we can use to actually make this do something useful. US Water Rocket says, that filament swap procedure looks really sketchy for some reason. Well, it does mean that some of the retractions right after you change the filament are not actually going to retract, which can affect detailed models, but for this it's not going to matter too much. Hey, Tuco, you got a bolt for me to play with? I appreciate it. Anyway, it should start showing up green any minute now. But it takes a sec for it to get through the filament, and there's also so much blowout on the camera that the green is probably going to look white for a layer or two. Hey, Tuco, I see you. You've got the bolt for me? Where is it? Where did you put it? Where's the boltness? Oh, it's right under there. It's next to the computer that doesn't have a cover on it. Good job, Tuco. You like that so much. Here. I think we need a bolt break. Let me make this bigger. You put it away over there. Oh man, speaking of filament swap, I really liked the idea of having something that can, I mean, basically the idea that I had was going to be something that could automatically do filament swaps, and then it turned out that, you know, somebody else turned it into a product and called it the palette. And it looks like pretty much exactly what I want. It's just kind of more money than I would want to pay for something like that. It's like $1,000 add-on for your 3D printer. But that would work with either of my existing printers and let me do multiple types of materials, which could be pretty interesting. I just feel more like doing a DIY thing than buying something so expensive. Hey, Tuco. Bolt, 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 bolt. Bolt? Where did you put it, little guy? Tuco. Do you want to try one of these other bolts? So, we have some 3D printed bolts. He didn't seem to like the red ones, but I think you know, we were playing with the blue one last night, and he was actually pretty into it. Hey, Tuco, you want to try a blue one? No? What's wrong with that one, Tuco? Okay, you want another blue one? Here's blue one. No. You don't like how it bounces? Okay, here's a control. You want a control bolt? Hey, Tuco, here's an Allen control bolt from Master. Okay, so it's probably not the material. Okay, Tuco, what do you want? Are you hungry? I'm hungry. Are there just too many bolts over here? All right, let's try a nylon one again. Hey, Tuco, no other bolts on the floor, just the nylon. How's it going? Whoosh. Oh, how's that one? Do you just actively dislike the other ones, or is it just that you don't like having multiple bolts on the floor? This is all going to be important data for the bolt throwing add-on for the Tuco flyer. Good job, Tuco. One more of those, and then I'll give you a blue one. Good job. Good job, Tuco. Can I swap you? Here, try blue one. Oops. That time I just dropped it. That wasn't a good throw. That was a better throw. He seems more into that. I was trying to get it from near the bathroom, by the rug, through the kitchen. You look satisfied. Got that little blue bolt. Good job, Tuco. Oh, were you distracted? I was putting the other tray of bolts down right as I turned that. This one might also just be kind of light. You might not like how it bounces sometimes. Tuco, was that one bad? Good job, Tuco. Bring it over here. Good job, Tuco. Good job, little guy. Where did that one go? Alright, Tuco. I think I might have to go back to CAD. You're losing my attention. One more? I still don't know about these blue ones. Don't know whether it's the color, the material, the throw, the bounce. Hard to tell. Yeah, he definitely seems to have an opinion on some types of 3D printed plastic, but like we've definitely played successfully with the blue ones, whereas some of the bolts he just seems to not like at all. But it might be that if I printed them with a higher density, then they might bounce better. Oh, that's neat. As far as swapping filaments, US Water Rockets is pointing out that there are some good Y-type adapters on Thingiverse that let you switch filaments in dual Bowden extruders, and then they put the Y-merge near the hot end. Yeah, that sounds a little bit like what the palette does internally, except it has to remelt and then fuse the filament, which I'm sure adds a lot of expense. Hey, Tuco, what do you think about that whole situation? He's plotting. He'll get there. He's plotting. All right. Well, I really want to make something in a different component here, because like the winch bot proper is getting really complicated. Oh, I don't want that. I'd really like to split out as much as I can from this. Like the spool, I might be able to split out, but the spool is also really tied to a lot of the design features of this particular project. But the pulleys, especially the pulley that goes onto the rotary encoder, like the entire rotary encoder plus pulley plus load cell assembly is something that I can develop and test separately without having to deal with the rest of the winch bot. So I think that's the thing. I think I want a separate document then. Oh man. That's interesting. I think this Windows machine is on a different time zone than everything else here. That's not the time. Interesting. Yeah, the other computers are an hour later than this. Not sure that's changing anything. There we go. I figured I just had to poke at those until it redid whatever it was trying to do. Okay, so this is a new file. We want to import some of this other stuff. So the encoder and please save this before inserting anything. Okay, fine. This will be let's call it measurement pulley. This might have some of the pulley related parts in it too, but so encoder and load cell to start with. And just think very slightly about the orientation, but I don't really care that much. This will just be a rough placement. So I don't know. I mean, the problem here is, well, the thing I'm pondering optimizing, rather, is that, ideally I would want to have this plane right here, which is where the bearing is. So it's kind of in this boss here on the front of the encoder. That's where the bearing hangs out. And I really want to keep that lined up with both the load cell and the kind of exit point on the pulley. Oh, this is cool. Let me take a quick detour. We were talking about boxes earlier because I'm printing some. How are the prints going, by the way? They're starting to be green again, so they'll have a white stripe in the middle. That's probably somebody's flag, but I don't remember off the top of my head. That's the one. So, yeah, so we were talking about boxes, and then Mark points out this parametric version, and this looks like something I want to know about. Ooh. Ooh, label space. That's nice. That might be really handy. I will save this for later. Thanks for the tip. That could be a really handy model. I think Tuco was chewing on bungee cord. Oh, no, you're not. You're crawling. Nope, I'm not chewing on bungee cord, just climbing around on the desk. So if I wanted to keep these planes lined up, that would involve doing this kind of convoluted move to actually mount the encoder, where I have to kind of take this shaft and bring it over here for the pulley, but then I also have to bring this plate basically kind of under and around the back of the pulley to mount it to here. So, I don't know, something like that. Where is the origin anyway? Should I try to have the origin at a helpful point? What is... I guess I did put the origin at that part's origin, which I made at a sensible point, so that's good. Okay. I wonder how the thread cutting kind of... because this is going to work a lot like screw threads, which I've never done in this program. So is it a kind of revolve? Oh, it's a coil. So I need to... oops. Select a plane. That doesn't look like what I want. Oh, thread. Huh. Maybe I'll just give that a shot to see if it does what I want. That's kind of higher level than what I was looking for, but... oh, Peter tweeted the screenshot of the hand translation, they're saying. Let's see what that turned out like. Go to thread. Oh, that's not thread in Twitter, thread in... Sorry, I'm getting my threads crossed. Oh, maybe it's not in here. Oh, maybe it's a reply. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's great. That's funny. I think people will be amused by that. Okay, well, maybe first let's get a rough idea for how big this pulley wants to be. So let's measure the paracord. I think I'd already made some rough dimensions for this, but basically I want to know how deep do I want the kind of, well, mostly the dimension I care about is how wide does it get when I flatten it out the most. Oh, US Water Rockets is suggesting that I check modeled under thread, which makes me wonder, oh, I guess it's got some kind of like high-level data type for threads that gets treated differently or something. If I leave a 6mm wide kind of square channel for the paracord, that will be plenty of room. It's a little bit like more like 5.5, but 6mm seems like a good round up for that. So that means 6mm plus another 6mm plus like 3 separators. Or, well, so let's see what the thread modeling ends up looking like. Do I want to create that as a, I guess it has to start as a cylinder. I mean, I guess part of what I'm trying to do is draw the cylinder centered around a particular point, which is maybe not how this is designed. So I might need to figure out where I want to put the bottom of it first, or just plan to move it later. Maybe I just plan to move it later. You know, I guess also, well, I'm thinking about what the diameter of this needs to be. If I want to put anything kind of around this, then whole diameter needs to be probably wide enough that I can have some supports getting here and then have that. I mean, that just seems like a bad idea. I think I probably want to, you know, not worry quite so much about having everything in plane like that and just have the pulley attached normally here. And then have another piece fit right behind that and secured with these screws. Those will need to be pretty low profile. Yeah, I guess I maybe want to know how much space those fasteners are going to take, so maybe I should figure out the fastener situation first. I'll get some M3 screws to play with. I've got these nice M3x8s that might do. Like a low profile button head. Definitely seems more convenient to use the 30mm holes rather than the 28, because the 28s are a little close to this inner bearing holder. That's pretty convenient, but I definitely don't think I can do the thing where I keep the pulley in plane with the bearing. There just isn't really room for that to be practical. I think I just have it sit right above the bearing, and that's fine. What I can do is design it so that the threads are cut such that, you know, I want the cord to exit on the side nearest the pulley rather than the side farthest on, you know, where it's actually bearing all that load. Oh, Skila just showed up in chat. We were just talking about their contributions earlier, including the TwitchBot stuff. Hey, nice to see you. Yeah, and the Tuco photo database. Yeah, and I'm excited about using all of that. It seems like there's still so much work to do before I even know what this bot is going to be capable of doing, but I'm trying to design it such that we can not have to do all of that at once. Like, I want this to be pretty layered so that, I can build up the functionality that the actual robot parts need to operate safely, and then make them smarter over time. So I think when the screws are in here, the screw heads are going to end up sticking up even a little bit further than this bearing holder. So like if I screw the screw in, it completely bottoms out right about there, and I want to have enough room so that it can compress the plastic a little bit. And so a safe hole, or a safe location to plan for the screw head might be more like there. So that means that will still, that'll still stick up a little bit, but that's fine. Because then imagine this just becomes more like a kind of cylindrical piece that can then actually be pretty arbitrarily small. Because like there's no real reason for this to be a really wide pulley. Like it can be pretty narrow. The paracord can bend at a pretty narrow radius. It's more of a question of like, I think like the pulley doesn't need to be any larger than like a couple of centimeters in diameter. Probably more like 1 centimeter is a lot. But that's something that this test will help determine. I mean, you can just wrap the pulley directly around or the cord directly around the shaft, and it would probably work, but I think it would work better with less of a tight turning radius. So, I mean, very, very roughly like this. Imagine my left hand is going up toward the ceiling to the pulleys there. This would be holding 1/4 the weight of the robot. And then this would actually go probably off to a 90-degree angle here. So we'd end up with one full turn around the pulley. So it'd be going down, one additional turn, and then off to the same side that the load cell is mounted on. US Water Rockets is asking if I'm trying to thread the pulley for the paracord. Yeah, basically, I want to make a thread such that it can hold this loop here without the cord sliding against itself. At least that's what I'm investigating. But yeah, I don't know if that'll work. I think that might just cause the cord to want to come off of the pulley. So it might just have to be a flat pulley. Like, I don't know if threaded pulleys are a thing. It's just I'm wondering if that would work. I guess the thing that I was worried about was, as this maintains tension, yeah, maybe that isn't a thing. Maybe there wouldn't be overlap friction. Maybe that would just roll smoothly. So, well, okay, you can see it doing that. If it was on frame, you could. Can I get it to reproduce that again? Yeah, so you can see where one cord starts to want to go over the other. Like, I feel like I need some kind of guide. Yeah, US Water Rockets is saying, just like I think I was just realizing, the cord's going to go sideways if this is threaded. So, not threads, but I don't know if there's anything else we can do there. I mean, I guess the two solutions we're comparing then are a flat pulley where there might be some kind of, I mean, yeah, basically doing this, like kind of pulling the cord through like almost a knot. Like that's what I want to avoid. So, I mean, I guess the thread thing was me wondering if I could avoid a thing where they rubbed on the sides. Like, if I can't, then my, like, plan A for this was to use just a single pulley and run it around. So instead of having that extra loop, I would just have, like, that much. But then I would have, focus, then I would have another wheel with a spring on it just holding the cord against that pulley. Oh. This is some ideas. Let's go to chat. We've got some good ideas here. Yeah, would having the inner shaft be sloped to make it move across? And then multi-turn pulleys, guide holes. Oh, so you have like an angled pulley so that it kind of keeps the two cords separate by using those angles? Oh, maybe. Let's see if multi-turn pulleys as a keyword will get us something useful. Alternator pulley? That doesn't seem right. Oh, Peter sent me another link in Twitter. Rummage around in my Twitter for a second. There we go. That's what we have. Yeah, interesting. So are those threads or are those just ridges that keep them separate? So yeah, Peter's saying they have two of them next to each other and one is an idler. Something like a capstan. Is that the thing that they use for turning tapes? I think the thing that I was originally thinking of is like a capstan, yes, but let me make sure. Oh. No, this is something different. Huh. Well, so the pinch roller here is kind of what I was thinking about originally. But I assume you're talking about the other kind of capstan? Huh. Still trying to parse what this actually is. Oh. That's interesting. Tuco is under my chair. I'm trying to get the camera on him. Hey, boy. You wanna play? That one had some air to it. Good job, Tuke. Good job. Good job, little dude. Yeah, no, he's into that. definitely seems to like the blue ones. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what the feature of this that's useful is. So this is for holding multiple turns of rope. And I guess the idea is this is sized for a specific number of turns, and that's what keeps them in place. Yeah, this seems to be about what I want. So it's narrower at one side, too. I'd like an article that tells me what the relevant mechanical features of a capstan are. Oh, I see. This is just for... It took me a while to figure out what this was even for. This is relating the two forces to the rotation. What is phi here? Mario, you want to play? Hey, Tuco. Oh. Skila in chat asks, will you be streaming the Tuco Flyer streams in 1080p? Yeah, all my streaming right now is set up for 1080p right now. I don't really have any 4K cameras, but all the cameras are 1080, and I was briefly streaming in 720 before, but that was only because I didn't have any CPU fast enough to keep up, and since upgrading that rig, I've been all 1080. Some of the stuff here can do 60 frames a second, but most of it's 30 frames. You like biting my flesh. All right, well. Ah, man. This might be starting to be time to get toward wrapping up. It's getting a little late here, and I think I've got plenty of ideas to think about at this point. Like I think the capstan solution for this is basically right. Like, we're using it backwards from how you usually use a capstan, but I think it's going to be roughly the same features are going to be useful. Like, there's going to be tension that we keep by virtue of the robot having some weight that it's pulling on this cable with. And, you know, we're not driving it with this bearing, but we do want this to match its motion quite accurately. So, oh yeah, I've been meaning to say, so some people in chat have been reporting trouble with the streaming dropping out. There is an option that it gives you in the stream settings for whether to do, whether to optimize for low latency or less buffering, and right now I have it set to low latency. I could try changing that if anybody thinks it would feel, if it would like make a difference, but I haven't actually researched to see if that's like a widely, you know, if that helps for a lot of people. A capstan causes / induces rotation into linear, what you mean. I I think what I meant is that it took me a while to reach that conclusion by reading the YouTube, or reading the Wikipedia article, is what I meant. But yeah, no, the capstone definitely helps. I think this is basically what I wanted. I just didn't have any idea what it was called or like what the relevant design constraints are. And I would still like to know. So like when you see these on Google Images, it's like, especially these larger ones, there's a taper, and I'm kind of curious what that's for. Let's see if I can find an example. Oh, that's the wrong search. So like this seems to be just to keep the cord bunched up at the right end as you're winding it. I guess that's not relevant for me because in my case, I only have a couple of turns and I'm not adding or removing it. Like I'm just winding it manually once and then the same amount stays. So mine is maybe more like this. Taper is the linear? I don't understand what you mean by this. I mean, I guess the taper I'm asking about is the profile of the pulley that I'm seeing, and I'm just wondering what that is and if it's relevant to the thing that I'm about to try designing. Also, a lot of these seem like pulleys for grooved belts, which is completely the wrong thing. Ben Brown is adding, having the taper centered will keep the winding centered on the wheel. Yeah, well, I guess, yeah, I mean, I didn't see any that had that centered, but I guess you did. And I've lost it now. But yeah, no, I mean, I tried designing something like this earlier before I thought I was, oh wait, no, I have that. That is something that exists. It is in this file, in fact. Let's get rid of the section view. So yeah, this had some other pieces that I didn't show before. So the spool, let me just hide all this at first. So there's a bunch of components here. There's the spool in 2 halves. Then there's these 2. Oh, maybe I don't still have it. I was building it around this. Maybe I deleted it because I just didn't like it so much, but yeah, I was starting to build a pulley around this bearing that was going to be, because basically I need 2 pulleys, I think, because this pulley is actually the one that I'm measuring. This pulley keeps the cord coming into this pulley at a constant angle so that I'm measuring the force without kind of varying other force acting on it. So this pulley keeps the angle such that it's parallel to the load cell, and so I'm not measuring that force, only this force. So this was going to be another pulley that kind of acted to align the cord here and keep this at a constant angle. And so this one did have a taper. This inner, I think this was going to be the center diameter, and this was going to be the edge diameter. I'm not really understanding this. Yeah, so I mean, this prevents it from rubbing on the edges of the wheel. It's still going to rub on the other rope, but that's probably fine. I just don't understand any of this. Like, the taper is the ambition. I don't. like that sets what direction the chord moves, I guess you're saying? Yeah, I mean, I think we're on the same page, maybe. I think we're just having some communication trouble. And then I'm not sure what this question about the proximity sensor is about. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what the proximity sensor is for. But yeah, so that one was probably going to have more of a taper to the center, because this one's going to have to deal with the cord kind of winding into various positions on this wheel, and I want to keep it centered. Whereas this one could probably be pretty small. Doesn't need that much extra room. Oh, Tuco's camping out over here again. Oh, maybe that's so. Yeah, this is the problem that I'm most concerned about, is the rope getting tangled on top of itself and then acting like kind of a knot. But yeah, if it's only a very slight taper or no taper, then so like I think what we're saying is the pulley over here is going to have room for multiple turns, either no taper or a very slight taper, because we don't want the turns to get tangled. Then this other pulley over here, the like idler pulley, that can have a more severe taper because its job is more just to like center this cord, and it's only going to have one turn. So I think that's what's going on here. So yeah, so I think the next step here is just to finish modeling this pulley, but I think it's a little late for that right now. I think it's about time to wrap this stream up. So, yeah, sorry, I still don't know what your proximity sensor question is about. Single turn with feed in. That's interesting. I don't quite understand what you're saying, but it almost looks like you're saying that there's a rope that kind of acts as a guide rope to move another rope around on the pulley, which is also kind of interesting. Oh, this is in reference to my other video about the ultrasonic sensor. Yeah, well, I mean, I've used various kinds of proximity sensors. I guess this question's a little vague, so I wasn't quite sure what you meant. Like, yeah, I mean, I know about some different kinds of proximity sensors, but I didn't see how it was applicable to this project, and I thought that's what you were asking. All right, well, we will catch up on Twitter, perhaps, about this idea and explore it on the next stream. But I think it's about time to wrap up right now. There's the moment of Tuco cam next to my socks drying out. I had to run outside to get a package this afternoon, and it was raining, and so I ended up with very wet socks, which are now drying. Happy hacking, everyone. More of this soon. I should hopefully have some more time to do this this weekend and work on this project some more. And I should be able to print this thing that we just designed sometime between now and the next stream, so hopefully that'll just be a matter of it worked or I had to make some tweaks, and we'll get to see. So, see you next time.